The barrier held until it didn't, and when it failed, the animal didn't hesitate. Since the 1970s, published figures claim there have been more than 1,000 serious zoo-related injuries or fatalities worldwide, yet the true count remains out of reach. Internal documents uncovered in a 2019 court case revealed that some zoos quietly reclassify animal attacks as maintenance incidents, sidestepping mandatory reporting. An internal memo that was heavily redacted suggested that as many as 15% of incidents never make it into the official record. Settlement agreements following the San Francisco tiger escape often include strict confidentiality clauses. These legal barriers mean that even when an attack ends in tragedy, the details and numbers are locked away, shielded from public scrutiny. A pane of glass, a stretch of water, a metal railing. These are the boundaries that shape every visit to the zoo. For most people, they signal safety so convincingly that the animals behind them become background scenery. People lean in, let their guard down, and forget that the animal is still wild. The real danger is not always the animal on the other side of the glass. It is the faith we place in the barrier itself. A tiger's eyes lock onto movement. For 12 seconds, the animal holds its position, body low, muscles tensed, gaze fixed. This is not an accident or a burst of rage. It is a sequence as old as the species itself. Stalk, pause, strike. In the San Francisco Zoo on December 25, 2007, Tatiana, a 350-pound Siberian tiger, found the flaw in the perimeter. A gap in the fence, just wide enough, offered an opening. Surveillance footage later released under public records law captured the moment she slipped through. The animal pauses. In that space, there is no sound, just the calculation of distance and intent. Witnesses later described the moment as silent, the air thick with a tension no one recognized until it broke. 10 seconds later, she surges forward. Carlos Sousa Jr., 17, is struck from behind. The attack is over almost as soon as it begins. 2 others are mauled before police arrive. The response is measured in minutes, but the actual window for survival is counted in seconds. From the first step beyond the barrier to the moment of impact, less than 3 seconds pass. There is no time to run, no time to fight back. Calm does not mean safe. The tiger did not roar, did not warn, did not hesitate. Once committed, the escalation is absolute. A similar silence preceded the Brazil lioness incident in 2025. A visitor, unaware of the animal's attention, stood just beyond a climbable structure. The lioness turned her head, paused for 12 seconds, then closed the gap in a single bound. In both cases, the barrier failed. Not just the physical fence, but the invisible line where trust and design replaced caution. The danger is not the animal, it is the assumption. When a big cat decides to act, there is no escalation, no warning. Only the sudden final reality of predation inside a space that promised control. A crocodile does not stalk or pace. It waits. The body vanishes into water or mud, leaving only the faintest outline. No movement, no sound, nothing to betray intent. In the Philippines, a visitor in 2025 mistook a motionless crocodile for a concrete statue. The animal had not shifted for over an hour. As the visitor stepped closer, the strike came in less than half a second. Jaws snapped shut with enough force to splinter bone, and the victim's leg was gone before bystanders registered what had happened. There was no warning, no visible change, just stillness, then violence. Crocodilian attacks inside zoos almost always follow this pattern. Unlike big cats, they do not offer a stare or a tense crouch. The signature is total calm until the instant of the bite. In Utah, a 2021, a trainer entered the enclosure of a 2.5-meter alligator, known as Darth Gator. The animal lay unmoving as the trainer adjusted the feeding pole. Without shifting its body, the crocodile lunged, seized her hand, and pulled her into the shallow pool. The death roll began immediately. Crocodiles generate torque, close to 3,500 Newton meters, enough to tear flesh and dislocate joints in a single rotation. The trainer's arm was nearly severed before a bystander intervened. First responders later described the scene as shockingly fast. 1 second she was standing, the next she was underwater. These attacks are not about aggression or territory. They are about pure mechanics and evolutionary design. Crocodiles are built for ambush, not pursuit. The illusion of safety comes from their stillness, the sense that nothing is happening. But the absence of movement is the warning. When a crocodile strikes, there is no time to react. No escalation, no warning. Only the sudden, irreversible reality of proximity. The danger is not the animal's size or speed. It is the failure to recognize that stillness is not safety. In these moments, survival is not about strength or struggle. It is about not being there when the water breaks. A bear does not stalk or wait in silence. It overwhelms. When a barrier fails or a door is left unsecured, the difference is measured in mass and momentum. In 1994, Binky, a polar bear at the Cologne Zoo, found a gap in the fence after a keeper's routine check. The animal surged forward, swiping with a force that biomechanical studies estimate at over 3,000 newtons, enough to shatter reinforced acrylic and break bone in a single motion. There is no warning, no time to process what is happening. The keeper was struck and killed before any alarm could be raised. In Jacksonville, 2022, a black bear escaped during a nighttime enclosure check. The breach came from a door that failed to latch. The keeper was mauled, suffering broken ribs and internal injuries. Emergency responders later described the scene as a crush zone, a space where size and strength decide everything. Medical records from trauma surgeons showed that bear attacks in captivity almost always result in blunt trauma, rib fractures, collapsed lungs, spinal compression. The human body is simply not built to withstand that kind of impact. There is no fighting back. When a bear commits, resistance is futile. The only thing that matters is the integrity of the barrier and the decision that put a person on the wrong side of it. Unlike big cats or crocodiles, bears do not offer a moment of stillness or a silent warning. The attack is total and immediate. The aftermath is left to surgeons and investigators, piecing together what went wrong in the seconds after a door failed to close. A gorilla's eyes do not simply watch, they study. In the Rotterdam Zoo in 2007, a silverback named Boquito spent weeks observing the routines of visitors and staff. Cameras later revealed him pressing his weight against the glass, pausing for up to 20 seconds, testing for weakness. When a single panel began to flex, he remembered. On May 18th of that year, Boquito found the flaw. He struck the same spot, shattering the barrier in one calculated blow. The breach was not a burst of rage. It was the result of silent, repeated testing, a pattern of observation, trial, and memory. The visitor he attacked had fed him for months, ignoring posted warnings. She suffered multiple fractures and lost 2 fingers before staff intervened. Boquito was not hunting. He was acting on learned opportunity, exploiting a pattern he had pieced together through daily exposure. But cognition in great apes is not only a source of risk. In 1996, at the Brookfield Zoo, a young boy fell 12 feet into the gorilla enclosure. Binti Jua, a female western lowland gorilla, approached as the crowd panicked. Instead of aggression, she cradled the unconscious child, and carried him to the enclosure door, sitting beside him until keepers arrived. Primatologists point to the species' capacity for empathy and careful threat assessment. Gorillas do not attack without reason. Their danger lies in unpredictability, not predation. They do not just react. They observe, learn, and adapt. A glass panel may seem solid, but a gorilla will test, remember, and exploit weakness if given time. The same intelligence that can save a life can also find a way out. In the presence of a gorilla, safety is never just a matter of strength or barrier design. It is a contest of attention and memory, where the animal is always watching for what people miss. An elephant's warning can be nearly invisible: a tilt of the head, a flare of the ears, a low vibration through the ground. But when the surge comes, the outcome is decided in seconds. In Rajasthan, India, 2023, a senior keeper entered the enclosure after hours, believing the bull was calm. The elephant and Musli charged without hesitation. The force of impact crushed the man's chest and skull before any call for help could be made. Autopsy records listed death by blunt force trauma, with injuries consistent with over 5,000 newtons delivered in a single step. The entire escalation, from first movement to fatal contact, lasted less than 6 seconds. At Dickerson Park Zoo in 2013, a similar pattern repeated. A keeper delivering feed was caught off guard as the elephant, startled by a sudden noise, pinned her against the steel barrier. The animal's trunk and foreleg applied enough pressure to cause spinal compression and multiple rib fractures. She survived, but only because other staff intervened almost immediately. Former keepers describe the moment as a wall of mass moving before thought can catch up. There is no resisting an elephant in motion. The body cannot withstand the load. Bones break, organs rupture, barriers buckle. When proximity closes and the surge begins, the only real defense is never being in the path. In these moments, size is not just a number, it is the end of any contest between human and animal. A Komodo dragon does not chase or charge. It waits, motionless, until the distance closes to a single step. In 2024, a keeper at the Akron Zoo entered the enclosure for routine cleaning. The dragon watched from less than 2 meters away. There was no display, no sound, just a sudden snap of jaws, a bite to the forearm, and then stillness again. The force of the bite, measured at 340 newtons, is not what turns the wound into an emergency. It is what comes next. Modern research has overturned the old myth that Komodo dragons kill by infection. Instead, it is venom, an anticoagulant cocktail that seeps through the wound, thinning the blood and sabotaging the body's ability to clot. Within minutes, capillaries begin to leak. Blood pressure drops. In the Bronstein case at the Los Angeles Zoo, the bite looked minor at first, but within hours, swelling and uncontrolled bleeding forced surgeons to operate. Veterinary surgeons describe a window. If major vessels are hit, shock can set in within 30 minutes. Even with prompt first aid, the venom's effect can cascade, requiring transfusions and antivenom. The real threat is proximity. A Komodo dragon strike zone is short, but once you are inside it, the outcome depends on how quickly you can stop the bleeding. As one veterinary surgeon put it, every minute counts. You are not fighting the animal, you are fighting your own blood loss. In these moments, the illusion that size or calmness signals safety dissolves. The danger is not the dragon's patience. It is the simple fact of being close enough to be bitten. A row of glass terrariums sits in the quietest corner of the zoo. No roars, no massive jaws, just a flick of scales, a shimmer of movement, or nothing at all. But the threat here is measured in milligrams, not muscle. A single drop of venom from a taipan or a cobra can begin shutting down the nervous system in under 30 minutes. Some neurotoxins work even faster, paralyzing breathing before help can arrive. In 2018, a keeper in Singapore was bitten by a blue crate. He collapsed within 20 minutes and only survived because anti-venom was kept on site. In another case, a child brushed against a stonefish in a touch tank, and the pain was so severe that doctors induced a coma for treatment. These are not stories of dramatic chases or crushing force. Survival comes down to how quickly someone recognizes the danger and how fast the right antidote reaches the bloodstream. Venomous snakes, spiders, and even small frogs are often dismissed as background exhibits, safe behind glass, easy to overlook. But the illusion is powerful. Visitors lean in, press hands to the barrier, or let children tap the glass, never realizing some species can spit venom or deliver a bite through the tiniest gap. The risk is not always obvious. A herpetologist once put it simply, the most dangerous animal in the building is usually the one nobody notices. The real menace is quiet, hiding in plain sight. Here, the fatal mistake is not underestimating size or strength. It is believing that a small, silent animal poses no real threat. 5 patterns repeat across every species, every incident. Getting too close, entering enclosures, ignoring barriers, turning your back, assuming predictability. Each one is a decision that shrinks the margin for error to 0. A tiger does not hesitate if you cross the line. A crocodile does not warn before the strike. The bear's force, the gorilla's calculation, the Komodo's patience, the elephant's mass, none can be reasoned with once the threshold is crossed. Calm does not mean safe. The animal's quiet is not your safety. It is the pause before action. Survival, when it happens, is rarely about courage or strength. 3 factors shift the odds. Never guarantee them. First, maintain a distance buffer. Never trust the posted line as the true limit. Second, respect the barrier as a living edge, not a wall of certainty. Treat every latch, pane, and moat as a potential point of failure. Third, recognize that animals do not read intentions. They react to proximity, movement, and opportunity. The only real control is not being in the zone where reaction becomes attack. Institutional reforms have tried to harden these lessons into policy, double locks, layered glass, variable feeding routines, alarms keyed to motion and vibration. Yet every system is only as strong as the last human decision. The patterns are simple, the consequences are not. The illusion of safety breaks in seconds, and survival is measured by the choices made before the boundary is crossed. Every enclosure and every routine do not erase unpredictability. Calm does not mean safe. The danger is not the animal. It is the human certainty that a boundary, a rule, or a habit can override instinct. Today, as zoo visits rise and barriers grow more elaborate, the real risk remains unchanged. Underestimating what watches from the other side. In places built for control, survival begins with humility, not assumption. Stay aware, stay alive.